Hi crafters, it's Karen, and I wanted to share this layout process that I created for Diemond dies, specifically because I wanted to use up those pumpkins there. Those are from the pumpkin die set that came out, I believe, last October from Diemond Dies, and I also used the mini leaves set, which was just released last week. So I'm going to leave the link to Diemond dies in the description box so that you can look for these dies yourself. So right now I'm taking those pumpkins that I had actually die cut back around Halloween, and I just used my distress ink. I think I used espresso around the edges, and then I used some of my marigold or orange colored distress ink to accent and give the die cuts a little bit more dimension, and I painted on some of those lines. And I know they don't look real great, but once they're on the layout they actually look kind of cool. So I didn't go real crazy with it. I just wanted to give them a little more dimension. So the paper collection that I'm using isn't a typical fall collection. It's the Free Spirit paper pad by We Are Memory. I always forget if it's Memory Makers or Keepers. Just a moment. Memory Keepers. We Are Memory Keepers Free Spirit. Except for that orange sheet, which is from a Halloween collection from Kane Company. But I had to really dig deep into my stash to find a nice orange piece of patterned paper so that I can use it for my layering to go along with the pretty pumpkins in these pictures. These pictures were of course of Alyssa, and these are from last fall. Her parents and Joe and I had taken her to I believe it's a farm. It's a pumpkin farm or something in Jupiter. I'm not sure if it was Okeechobee or Jupiter. I forgot now. But anyway, you know, they had tractor, and they had the train rides and the petting zoo and the whole bit. She had just turned a year old, so it was just really sweet to see her, you know, with the pumpkins and on the train. She's so good-natured. So anyway, I had scrapbooked a couple of these photos before, but this is the rest of them, and I just wanted to get them down. So here I'm trying to figure out how I want to arrange my pictures and in what formation. And then I realized I'm going to just scrapbook 4 of them, and the other 3 or 4 I'll do on a separate layout. So that's what I did. I have a companion layout. It's not really a double layout spread, but I have a companion layout that I did when I was finished with this one, so that I can scrap the other pictures that I didn't have room for. And I'll show those in a separate, I'll show that layout in a separate video. So I love that feather paper there, the white background with the brown outlined feathers. It is so cool. I love that. I love that paper. I knew I wanted to use it, and I should have incorporated some feathers in the layout, but I didn't. You can only do so much, right? You can only put so much on a layout. So I tried to get that picture to fit one more time, but it just wasn't going to work. So here are all the mini leaves that I had cut with the mini leaves die set when I had first gotten it, and I'd cut it out of orange cardstock, some scrap paper, actually, some Tim Holtz paper, which happened to have green, like a dingy green color on it, and brown. And then of course I had to do some in gold foil with the gold foil paper, and these leaves come out so stinking cute. I just love these dies. I mean, these dies are a breeze. My plates are all, I have to get new plates. So my top plate for my big shot is, or my big kick, is kind of warped. But really no problem with any of these dies at all. Just, they cut beautifully. So I'm outlining this feather paper with ground espresso distress ink, and also the dried marigold, which is a beautiful orange. I don't have the new color pumpkin, what is it, pumpkin spice or something that Tim Holtz came out with. I haven't ordered it yet, but I will. I think I'm one of the only ones who likes the color orange. So now I have, how many pumpkins do I have? 6, I think. Yeah, 6 pumpkins. So now I know I want to arrange them so that some of them are dimensional, you know, like on Pop Dots, but I'm not sure how to do that. And here I give a thumbs up because, yay, I broke down and bought another, what is this called? Fine line glue applicator. And I bought a brand new container of Scotch Quick Dry because I thought maybe it's my glue that's been sitting too long and, you know, isn't working in these fine line applicators. And sure enough, it works beautifully. Thank goodness. I don't know what I would have done if it didn't, if this one, which is like the 5th or 6th one that I've purchased, didn't work. But anyway, yay, it works. So here I'm layering these pumpkins. I'm trying to get them so that they look like a nice little cluster. And you see what I mean about, you know, I didn't do a real good job giving these pumpkins dimension. You know, I just used my watercolor brush and some distress ink, and I just drew them on real quick. But you know, individually they don't look that great. But when I clustered them together and I put my leaves all around them, they really do look cute. So now I'm committing. I want to put this other paper more towards the right hand side. I don't know, I just like the way that looks. I didn't want it to be, you know, in the center for some reason. I think because I wanted more of that feather paper to show up. So because it is a fall photo, and you know, we're outside and everything, I wanted to bring in some natural texture, which that's what this burlap trim brings. It's trim that I'd gotten at Hobby Lobby, and it's just really fun to work with because it doesn't give a whole lot of dimension, you know, so you can use it for a border on your pages and not worry about it being bulky. Now this is another a sheet from the Free Spirit collection that I really like, with its all these different patterns, and the patterns are wood grain, and it has the different arrows. It almost looks like Native American patterns, but it's very cool. So I wanted to use that, even though you can't see the whole sheet. I like the look. And see, I should have used my trimmer here. I always use my trimmer. I never try to cut freehand because I really suck at cutting this straight line. I always use my trimmer, but I thought, you know, hey, I'll just do it real quick for the video, won't drag out my trimmer, and I made a mess of that edge. So I'm distressing the edges with a little bit of the ground espresso. It's one of the newer inks from Tim Holtz, and I love the color. It's like a deep brown, exactly like coffee grounds. It's just a beautiful, rich brown color, and I love it. Brown is one of my favorite colors. So I distressed some of the edges of the lighter colored papers and the pumpkins in the ground espresso distress ink. Now I'm adding a little bit more adhesive. And there's my pumpkin cluster. And you see, I eventually do add that last pumpkin over there that's on the right. it had to go on dimensionals, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be too much. I wanted to space it right with the photo and everything. So in the end, I do add it, and it looks cute. So I'm using my hot glue gun to adhere this burlap trim, just because it's the easiest adhesive when you're adhering a trim like this. Or else I grab my Fabri-Tac. You know, for finer laces and things, I always use my Fabri-Tac adhesive, or if I'm adhering metals or what have you. But for this burlap type trim, hot glue works beautifully. These are little paper doilies that I got, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I swear this pack of doilies just keeps growing. I'm trying to use them up, and I feel like every time I use one, two more appear in the package. I can't get through it. But anyway, I decided to put some behind these pumpkins because to me it just looked like, you know, a straw basket. It gave the appearance, or the illusion I should say, of maybe a straw basket behind there, behind the pumpkins or something. I just liked the way that looked, so that's why I added that there. And here I realize I'm going to have to put this pumpkin up on dimensionals to match the pumpkin on the opposite side of the cluster. And so then I want to take I take these white doilies. They're not really white, it's off-white. They're really nice. They just seem to multiply, so but I decided to add a half on one side and another half on the other, just to round it out. I was going to use one of them for journaling, and I do eventually, but then I thought, hey, why don't I, just for a lighter color behind the pumpkins, I don't know, I just added it. I thought it looked good. It helped complete that little, pumpkin patch illusion. And these are all the tiny little leaves, and I usually don't do well with tiny little pieces. As we get older, for those of you who are young and don't realize this, we tend to lose our dexterity with our hands. And I guess part of my problem is I use my left hand for like everything, obviously. So I don't know, it's not arthritis or anything, it's just sometimes my fingers are stiff, and so I'm just losing the dexterity where these tiny things are getting harder to hold. But they're so stinking cute, these tiny little leaves, and they come out beautifully. So like I said, I had cut them in a couple different colored cardstock, like a brighter orange and then a lighter orange. And then some scraps of like Tim Holtz paper. Some I do go back and I cut some out of green cardstock because I wanted a touch of green in those leaves cluster. And I don't make you sit through watching me adhere every single one. I do stop here in a minute and then come back to you, because there's like, I don't know, 50 leaves. And here I wasn't, I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just placing them as the first place I think to place them, you know what I mean? As if the pumpkins are sitting in a pile of leaves. And yeah, I think it came out cute. So there we go. You could see a bunch of the leaves already on the pumpkins. I added one in the bottom right hand corner of the papers. I'm sorry, the picture, you can see that I had punched some red leaves, and not punched, die cut with the dies, diamond dies. Some green cardstock and also some red cardstock, because sometimes there are red maple leaves this time of year. Not here in Florida, but anyway, so I thought I had so many left. I thought I'd make a little border on the bottom of the page below the burlap trim there. And then see the white leaf that fell on the top left-hand picture of Joe and the baby? Yeah, that's not adhered or anything. I just didn't take it, pick it up and take it off of the layout. It's not adhered, even though it stays there for the entire video. So yeah, I didn't plan my my leaf clusters. I just knew that I wanted them in and out and all around of those pumpkins. So it looked like a bunch. I'm so happy this fine line glue applicator works. I mean, it is such a great tool, but it's been my experience that you have to buy 5 of them to find one that works. Okay, these are cork, from cork letters and icons from crepe paper from the Journey collection, and they're very fragile. You see a little corner of the M came off, and I have to place that ever so carefully back on my M. And I was going to title this layout Hello Pumpkin, but then when I saw these cork letters or words from crepe paper, I just love them, and I really want to use them up, and to use the cork in a fall layout just seemed perfect for me. So so the companion layout that goes to this I titled Hello Pumpkin, and it came out cute too. And I used a couple of my diamond dies for that one as well. I'll share it in a video coming up. So in the end, I did move see that top arrow near the word smile? I did move it down so that it's almost resting on the top of that paper. And I took one of the glitter type pumpkins from Recollections. It's an embellishment, and I sat it on top of the larger arrow near the word love. So I don't think I do that in the video, but ultimately I do finish off. I just felt like it needed a little something up there. So and here's where I think I could do my journaling on this tiny doily and slip it behind those other doilies. Whoops, I grabbed a brush pen instead of a fine line pen. There we go. So my journaling's just going to say how adorable Alyssa was on this day, from sitting on top of that huge tractor and petting the animals at the petting zoo. She's just so she's got a fun little personality. She's good-natured, so she really made the day fun. So I was going to slip it as a pocket, but I realized it's probably going to fall out. I didn't plan it that way, so I'm just going to put a little adhesive and distress around the edges so that it kind of sticks out a little bit or shows up better, whatever. And some of the holes in that die, you have to pop them out yourself around the lacy part. So that's what I was doing there. Joe called. Here I'm adding, say I had a few leaves left, so I just, put them here and there. But this is basically it. So I want to thank you for watching. Check the description box for the coupon codes and link to Diemond dies, and check out all the new dies for this release. Thanks so much for watching. Kisses and hugs.